Yeah, you are ready?
So my name is Ikram Farah. My partner is Zuhaira Mohammed. So here we are. We're going to talk about laser and cancer treatment. So what has inspired both of us to do this project?
Is my aunt, like we're very close with each other. She had cancer in 2019 and 2020, and it's really affected our family and her family as well. And the thing that shocked us the most is the treatment in cancer. She did chemotherapy, and we saw the effects of that treatment was even worse than the disease itself. Her nails became black, her skin was shut, she lost a lot of weight, she was like unrecognizable. So this project inspired us because of her, because we wanted to look for a better treatment of cancer, one with less side effects that will help the people more.
So for me, it was back when I was in boarding school. My matron actually was diagnosed with breast cancer and we had to raise money for her. But then since because we were unable to raise a lot of money, she had to go through surgical oncology and go through other methods like hormone therapy and immune therapy. So with this, she also had to go through, after the side effects of immune therapy and hormone therapy, she had arm swelling, and this arm swelling had to be treated through laser treatment. And she told us that between all the methods she went through, laser treatment was the most effective because it cleared out her side effects immediately, and then there was no recurrence of the tumors, even though she still went through surgical oncology. So our statement of problem is, in Kenya, the rate of cancer cases is at alarming rates. And with this, scientists and oncologists have been developing new cancer treatment methods such as proton therapy, and laser therapy. With this, they want to identify a method in which they can completely destroy the tumor, at least there will be no recurrence of these tumors, and in which they can completely eradicate the side effects. So what are our objectives inside this topic, inside our project? So the first one is to find out the most common types of cancer in Kenya, to investigate the ability of laser therapy in cancer treatment, to investigate the efficiency of the laser therapy in cancer treatment, and to compare laser therapy with the other cancer treatment methods.
So the origins of cancer go back to 1900, where a Germanist known as Max Planck came up with the relationship between energy and frequency of radiation, where he concluded that energy is transmitted in chunks known as discrete quantum chunks. So in 1905, the famous Albert Einstein seconded this discovery, adding into that these energy chunks are represented by 14 discrete quantum particles. And in 1916, he came up with the concept of stimulated emission, whereby he said that photons, by interacting with excited atoms and molecules, stimulates the emission of new photons having the same frequency and radiation as the past one. But all that is in the past. The question is what is happening now in the 20th and the 21st century concerning laser development and uses. We go to the fantastic story of Dr. Hadia Nicobin, who is a black American physicist known for the discovery of laser-activated nanoparticles as a potential cancer treatment. This doctor, she was orphaned when she was young, so she had to go live with her aunt and uncle. Her aunt was diagnosed with the cancer of the reproductive system, and she refused to go treatment. She refused to go through treatment because she was scared of the side effects. So she later died. But her uncle later also got cancer, and he went through the side effects. He went through the treatment, and she perceived the effects of that treatment. His skin was charred, he lost a lot of weight. So she was angry because she had a grudge with cancer. She also had a grudge with the treatment used to cure this cancer. Because instead of bringing relief, this treatment brought further pain on top of the cancer diseases. So she wanted to use her background information on lasers to reduce the time it took to locate these cells and to kill the cancerous cells without hurting the tissue, the healthy tissues around. So she sat in her lab for 15 days, and it only took her 10 minutes to completely eradicate cancer cells in mice, making a groundbreaking discovery.
But before we even tackle laser in cancer treatment, we should first of all understand what is this cancer we're talking about.
So cancer comes from the cellular changes which exist to abnormal division and multiplication of cells, meaning cells divide when they're supposed to, don't stop dividing when they're supposed to, and don't die when they should. These abnormal cells travel to other parts of the body, which instead of dying, because abnormal cells don't die, they reproduce and multiply, forming lumps of tissue known as tumors.
But before we continue, let me talk about the cancer care continuum in general. The cancer care continuum in general is aimed at ensuring that there is complete eradication of this disease and that the patient is able to live a longer life. With this, they combine evidence-based and best practice recommendations with the aim of ensuring high equitable services for these cancer patients. So back to our main topic today, laser and cancer treatments. So what is this laser which we're talking about? Laser is actually an acronym that stands for light amplification by stimulated erosion radiation. So with this laser, let me show you a small laser here which you have to represent laser light, which is different from the normal light. So the normal light in general, with the knowledge which we know, it has different wavelength and can be spread in all directions. Like this laser light, has one single high energy beam wavelength and can only be spread into one direction. That means that its efficiency in killing tumor destruction only affects the tumor itself. It cannot spread into all those other tissues. So with this, let's talk about the three common types of lasers which are actually used in laser treatment today. So we have a CO2 laser, an argon laser, and an NDYAG laser. The CO2 laser is used to eradicate tumors which are found on the skin surface. And also it is also used to eradicate tumors which are found inside cervical cancer. And then it is also used in the eradication of precancerous tumors in the early stages. The argon laser actually has many functions. First of all, it is used in the eradication of side effects after radiotherapy when the blood vessels bleed after radiotherapy. So it is used to seal these blood vessels, such it is used in the eradication of side effects after radiotherapy. It is also used in the eradication of tumors which are found inside the surfaces of the eye, on the surface of the eye, and it is also used in the eradication of tumors found in the esophagus and the colon. And then the last laser is the NDYAG laser. This NDYAG laser, unlike the CO2 laser and the argon laser, it is able to penetrate deeper into the surface of the skin. Thus, it is mainly used in the eradication of tumors which are found inside the lung and the air pipe. Yeah. So let's talk about our laser.
So how does this laser work? There is a laser source which emits a beam of coherent light, photons synchronized with the same wavelength and emission. These photons are characterized by high energy density, so the therapeutic effect comes from the tissue absorption of these photons, meaning that these tissues absorb these photons, and absorbing these photons, their temperature increases over 60 degrees Celsius. This brings about a thermal procedure known as photodestruction, which results to eradication of these tissues and abnormal cells.
So what do we know so far about this laser cancer treatment? It is more efficient because it is able to target a specific tumor cell without harming the other tissues around it. And with this, it will complete, and also it is used in eradication of side effects, and it is used in the early stages of cancer to destroy precancerous tumors. Thus, it is able to prevent the cancer growth. It is able to completely eradicate these tumors, and it is able to eradicate side effects. So now let's talk about our methodology.
So our methodology, the requirements for questionnaires which you find in the data file. So we undertook active case finding by organizing formal meetings with the public and private hospitals. So we sent formal letters which you find in the write-up to the respective organizations, and to the respective organization, and on giving us acceptance, we went to the respective facilities. So the first one we went to was Shashabaha Health Center, which is found in Lavington, Nairobi. We talked with the head oncologist, who's called Dr. Noor. We gave him a questionnaire which had 12 questions, and he answered them under 20 minutes. And the 40 outpatient patients which were present there, we took 15 of them, and then we separated them 2 meters apart for them to do the questionnaire independently, and those who did it under 20 minutes. So we collected the data, and then we took them later on for analyzing. So and then we went to the next hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital, which is a public hospital. Out of the 100 patients there, we took 20 of them, separated them 2 meters apart, and we gave them the questionnaires for 20 minutes. And then later on, we gave the same questionnaire which we gave the oncologist to the nurse, Margaret Kimani, who also did under 20 minutes. And then lastly, at home and in school, we gave the teachers and students and our parents to fill the questionnaires.
So now let's talk about the data analysis which we received from our questionnaires. As you can see here, this is a graph which shows the most common types of cancer in the Shabak Cancer Center, where we can see that breast cancer or esophagus cancer are the most prevalent types of cancer there, which are quickly followed by cervical cancer and prostate cancer, with liver and colon cancer only having an average of 1 case per the hospital which we went to. And then the other one was the type of modality which is being used, where we had chemotherapy, immune therapy, hormone therapy, and radiotherapy. So as you can see here, chemotherapy is being used mostly because it is the most affordable one, unlike the radiotherapy which is used last. So in order for me to make this radiotherapy and laser therapy clear, is that laser therapy is actually a development after radiotherapy, because radiotherapy also deals with the photons and things. It has the same concepts, but laser therapy is now a development from it, where now they think this photon can specifically target this cell and attack this cell without affecting the other tissues, unlike radiotherapy. So in short, this laser therapy, which is not still applicable in Kenya because it is a very new development, we use radiotherapy because it has the same concepts as it. So if we now go back to the Kenyatta National Hospital where we did our research, we also found out that the same with this one is that breast cancer and esophagus cancer are the leading types of cancer there, where cervical cancer and prostate cancer follow closely, liver cancer and colon cancer having an average of 1 case per hospital. And with this, we also did the same thing there, where we also found out the main modality which is being used, where we still have chemotherapy being used. So what is this chemotherapy I'm talking about? What is this chemotherapy which I'm talking about? It uses drugs, or how can I say this? When you get a jab, but then it has the medicine inside that thing which is used to enter the medicine. So that's most likely what chemotherapy is. As you can see, it's very, very affordable because of how it is being used, but it has so many side effects. That's the reason why radiotherapy is being used. So with our discussion from whatever we have got from everything, from the hospitals, from the oncologists and everything, we have found out that only 10 out of the 67 facilities in Kenya actually deal with radiotherapy, which has the same concept as laser therapy. And chemotherapy is the highest one because it's the most affordable one for the Kenyan citizens, and it's available everywhere. So with this, according to the Kenya Mortality and Cause of Death report 2012 to 2021, we have found out that esophagus cancer has the highest rate of mortality, where it consists of 11.4%, followed by cervical cancer, which is 10.4%, breast cancer 9.6%, and pituitary cancer, which is 9.1%. And then our last thing which we did is that many of the facilities nowadays in Kenya are actually also getting the radiotherapy and the laser therapy, where we have learned that this year in the Kenyatta University they've actually gotten a laser which can actually be used to cure these cancer treatments. So let's now go to our variables.
So in our variables, according to our data, we saw that age varies. Like when you're a child, there's specific cancers which are more common in children than in adults. Like in children, they're more common eye cancer and leukemia, while in adults there is breast cancer. Another variable which we saw was gender, where there's some cancer which is more specific in one gender compared to the other. Like women is breast cancer and men is prostate cancer. And lastly, there's place and residency, where a specific cancer is more prominent in a specific location, like where there's cement factories, the emission of carbon monoxide and sulfur causes one to get lung cancer compared to other areas without those factories.
So to end this thing, let's just talk about the awareness of this cancer. We have found out that many people are not aware of the cancers, where there's actually a case in Kenyatta National Hospital where when people get skin cancer, they get lumps on the skin. And when they see these lumps, they're not even sure if it's the actual skin cancer. They just assume that it is just an infection on their skin, and thus they are unable to know what is it directly. And then they just come to realize that this is skin cancer in this stage 3 or stage 4 of it. So if it was actually taken into consideration in the earlier stages, it would have been clearly eradicated and everything. So we just hope that many people will be able to get more awareness on this cancer before it becomes an actual pandemic like the COVID-19, and many people will actually be able to get these treatments as Kenya as an economy is growing and getting more of these facilities here. So our conclusion is that breast cancer, cervical cancer, esophagus cancer are the most common types of cancer in Kenya. We have found out that laser cancer is able to eradicate these tumors. It's more efficient and everything, and that Kenya should adopt this method, as it can be seen to be used in countries like the UK, the US, and Turkey. And it just has the same concepts as radiotherapy, so it will be easier to also to afford. And even though it's going to be 10 out of the 67 facilities, still at least we have them in Kenya, and people can actually be able to take these modalities into consideration. Our recommendation is that more research should be done on this because it's still a new development. It still needs more time. It still needs more time for it to fulfill all its objectives and to eradicate all the side effects which are shown in radiotherapy, because radiotherapy, when it attacks the skin, it will still cause the skin to darken. Laser therapy, when it comes into use, will it only attack that cell, just make that spot to darken, or will it completely make the skin not to darken? And we also encourage that inside the Ministry of Health, those who are doing research to take more interest inside this laser therapy so we can grow as an economy, so that we can help those people who are suffering in cancer to get a better modality. With this, we acknowledge our teachers who helped us inside this project. We acknowledge also our principal for helping us to organize visits to the hospitals. We acknowledge our ICT teacher for helping us with the computers for us to continue our research where we go there from different sites. And we also thank
Dr. Nurdin, who helped us with our research and data collection, and also Margaret Kimani from Kenya National Hospital, and also the patients who helped us with our data collection by filling the questionnaires.
So the main question is, will we continue being arrogant and not following into these cancer treatment methods? Or will we actually take interest in it, acknowledge ourselves with how cancer is being spread, what are the preventive measures, and can we also go into screening for these cancers where we have actually seen that breast cancer is on the rise, esophagus cancer is on the rise, cervical cancer is on the rise, and prostate cancer is on the rise.
And will there be relief on the cancer treatment instead of bringing more pain?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. You clap for that.